I like the television, that's nice.
Make sure this is on.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It's Monday, March the 8th. Ms. Golden, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Noes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks,
Here.
Alderperson Almacher,
Here.
Berry,
Here.
Blackwell,
Here.
Dunn,
Here.
McGee.
Here.
7 present.
I believe we have a quorum with everyone present. For the invocation, I'd like to invite Reverend Don Dixon to please offer the invocation. Please stand and remain standing while Mr. Dixon leads us in the place of flag.
Let us pray. Eternal Creator, who's the giver of every good gift, help us to be good stewards of all those gifts. And as citizens of this community, we ask guidance for the various levels of city officials and in particular this assembled council. Grant them wisdom in all of their decisions, a sense of welfare and true need that we have in this community, a sense of justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and give to each of them personal peace in their lives and joy as they serve this government and our community. I pray for the agenda that's set before us tonight. Give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our community of Tullahoma. This we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Dixon. This evening, I welcome everyone to our newly revamped Board of Mayor and Aldermen room. You'll notice some new things around, some new speakers, some new cameras, some new monitors, and some new microphones. We also notice around the table tonight, around the desk, we have a new face with us tonight. We have an honorary alderman back with us tonight. We're excited to have someone from our Mayor's Youth Council joining us. The name is Petros Pisnos. Petros, I believe you're a senior in high school. Alderman Dunn, you're familiar with the activities, Mr. Petros. Why don't you introduce him in more detail?
Yes, so this is Petros Piscinos, and he is a senior at THS. I'm excited to introduce him today, part of our Mayor's Youth Council, which we're getting started tonight. Thank you so much, Mayor, for getting this kicked back off again. Petros is 14th in his class, is looking to go to college next year. He's a senior. Like I said, he is on the swim team, the tennis team. I could sing his praises over and over again. He's part of a healthcare advocacy group. What really spoke to me on his resume was the amount of work he's put in with his family's business. It really shows a lot of, I think, grit, entrepreneurship, and it's just awesome to see amazing work ethic in our high school students. So I'm going to let Petros tell you a little bit about what's going on at the high school and about himself.
Hi. So, yeah, some events of the high school coming up in the next month would be, we have prom and we've had homecoming. We also have project graduation coming up. It's a little event for the seniors. We usually try and get together and just have some fun little games, fun parties. We have fundraisers throughout the years, and we really just try to ensure that our seniors have a nice end to their year, and especially since COVID, we want to make sure they have a good time. So, yeah, some of my plans after high school, I plan to attend a university somewhere Southern California or up north and major in business management. Yeah.
Very good. And I understand you are a member of the Mayor's Youth Council. What is your position on the Mayor's Youth Council?
I'm mayor of the Mayor's Youth Council.
I was anxious to hear you say that. Hopefully we'll share some experiences.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good board to work with.
Well,
Well,
we're going to
welcome.
have elections soon.
Okay. Well, welcome tonight. We're pleased to have you here, and what an amazing resume that you have, and good luck to you in your future endeavors. So thank you for being with us tonight. Ms. Moody, I understand we also have some awards to make for Employees of the Month.
I do. I'm very honored to recognize 2 of our employees from Public Works, and they've been nominated by a citizen in our community who's very grateful for them being kind of in the right place at the right time. You know, our Public Works employees visit nearly every residence in the city every week, and so they really get to know our residents, and maybe some days they don't know when or how it's going to happen, but they're called to serve in extraordinary ways. So I'd like to read this letter that was submitted. It says, on February 16th, 2021, at around 8 a.m., Nelda Lawrence, my mother-in-law, fell on an ice-covered sidewalk in front of her apartment at Parkview in Tullahoma. She was walking her dog early that morning, and the temperature was 12 degrees. She didn't have her phone with her. The fall broke her hip. She isn't certain how long she was laying on the ice, unable to move in the frigid weather before help arrived. Thankfully, our Tullahoma City employees, Mr. Greg Stage and Mr. Andrew Fittenberg, were driving by at that time and heroically came to her aid. They called for an ambulance, covered her with their coat, contacted her son Kent, and stayed with her until she was safely on her way to the hospital. And they even took care of her beloved Yorkie by taking her into Parkview. It's certain that it's a certainty they feel like that Nelda would have died if it had not been for Greg and Andrew. And she immediately had surgery that day and is recovering well. And she says, our whole family will forever be grateful for their selfless and life-saving actions that day. And so I want to invite our director, Robert Taylor, and Greg Stage and Andrew Frittenberg up. As I said, we like to recognize employees for their contributions just daily through their attitude and commitment to the values that the city holds. And this is an opportunity to really recognize something extraordinary. Like I said, we don't know when that could happen, but I'm certainly thankful that you all were in the right place at the right time and stepped up to serve our community. So proud, thank you. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, just quickly, these guys, they take care of themselves every day. They look after each other, try to be safe, and, you know, just being observant, saw the situation and took care of it, and I appreciate what you did.
Yeah, would you like to say anything? Okay, well, we will step up and take a photo with you.
We'll do.
Okay.
That's good. Hold it for you.
And while we're in the picture-taking mode, I'll backtrack just a little bit. Mr. Petros, if you will stand by the flag there, I'd like to have Mr. Brooks come and get a photograph, getting your certificate of being an honorary alderman.
Just stand a little right here. Oh, there it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we do have a guest with us tonight that I'd like to, she'll be here to do a proclamation. And Ms. Diane Bryant, I believe you have something you'd like to share with the board.
I do, and thank you for inviting me. For those that don't know you, I'm Diane Bryant, and I'm here tonight to talk to you about the resolution that's in your packet on the acquisition of Martin Methodist College by the state. The reason that I'm here to present this and answer any questions if needed is, for those of you that don't know me, I was previously the executive director of the Tullahoma Chamber of Commerce from 2005 to 2016. And during those years, back in 2006, the Economic Development Commissioner, Matt Gisber, contacted a few of us throughout the southern part of the state to see if we would be willing to do some surveys to see if some of a range of 11 to 13 different counties would be interested in organizing a regional leadership group. It seemed that every other area or section in the rest of the state had organized as such, but somehow in that 11 to 13 county area that had not happened. So we did. And Martin Methodist College was kind enough, after we organized ourselves in 2011, to offer us a staff person to help facilitate when you're covering that many counties and all of us volunteers and more or less. So it gave us a good start. So I've always done a lot of work with Methodist College, and I've always appreciated the things that they did for the region at that time. But also during that time, Randy Boyd was the Commissioner of Economic Development, and he is currently the president of University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And during his time as ECD Commissioner, he was in and out of a lot of, now we're the most eastern of all of those counties that we were talking about. But during the time, he was in and out of all of these communities and really noticed that there was a very big void when it came to workforce development and post-secondary education. It was something that was always very concerning to him as the ECD director. Well, over the past 2 years, the Gaddis Group has been focused on a lot of these labor needs in this region and have continued to work with Randy Boyd. So when he was asked, we were asked once again to help with another study, and it seemed that in this 300-mile distance between Memphis and Chattanooga, there is like a huge education desert when it comes to higher education. More than 1,200 high school graduates cross the state line to Alabama to receive post-secondary education every year. And to him, this was becoming a very big brain drain for our area, and it was really making the ability to, shall we say, to really promote the area and really develop the labor forces that were needed. So the proposed partnership that's in your packet tonight is something that will add additional opportunities for all of the southern Middle Tennessee area for the families at a much more reasonable undergraduate tuition than Methodist College would represent. And they do feel it is a strong way to bring the necessary secondary education or post-secondary education specifically for the fields of education, nursing, and business. So I would like to, if anyone has any questions about this, I know our economic development, I know our TAEDC has already supported this with the resolution, but I'd like to see us as a city follow suit.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. This is a resolution that will be coming up 1855 on our agenda tonight. At that time when that motion is made, there may be some questions at that time. If you don't mind staying and enjoying our board meeting until we get to that point, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I can
Thank
do
you.
that. Thank you.
Are there any other proclamations or things that we needed to cover tonight, Ms. Moody? Okay, we're open now for comments from our citizens. Are there any citizens who would like to address the board tonight? Seeing none, we'll go to our reports from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Let's start with Ms. Amacher tonight. Alderman Amacher, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm gonna pull a Rupa tonight, and I'm gonna be a little bit long-winded. I've had a busy couple of weeks, y'all. So I will start off by talking about the tree board had our Arbor Day celebration on Friday at the Arboretum, and there were several in attendance. In fact, the majority of our board actually was able to attend that event. We planted yet another tree. I believe it's the 66th species that we have out there. We have to get to 90, is my understanding, to be at the next level Arboretum. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all just chime in because I'm new to the tree board, and I am learning a whole lot really fast. And so anyways, it was a very nice event. Lyle Russell chaired that event and did an excellent, fantastic job. We are so lucky to have him as our forester. We planted, I believe, an elm tree. Is that correct?
An American elm.
Yes, an American elm. Was lucky enough to be able to attend that. It was very cold that day. I was hoping it would have been a little warmer and I could have gone around to see some of the other trees there. But all in all, a really great event. So the last board meeting that we had, I mentioned some grants that the South Central Tourism Association were applying for. And our chair of that is Ryan French, who is an alderman in Manchester. And he's doing a really great job. He's reached out. We got some letters of support, so I'd like to thank Mayor, yourself, and Ms. Moody for supporting those efforts to receive more monies. And real quick, if we could, some of that money will go to support our new website and some of the amenities to promote tourism in South Central Tennessee. And so there is a new website, southcentraltn.com, and if we could, I think they were going to put that on the screen, just kind of flash it. Let's see it right there if we know how to do that.
Yeah, we're waiting.
They had pulled it up. They were just going to flash it so you guys could see it. It looks really good. Give them just a second, see if they get it. It's not going to work. Okay, well, it's South Central TN. Mayor, you can kind of see it on the screen over there. But I encourage everybody to go and look at that and see some of the amenities that we have here in the region and some of the tourism that we are here to promote. I've had a few conversations over the past couple of weeks and have had some good responses to some of the things that citizens have been concerned about. I'll just start with, and Chief, I'm going to let you help me back me up on this. I'm going to start with, I had some concerns about the lights at some of the school districts and what time we're turning those on. It seemed like there was a lot of traffic speeding through there, especially on Country Club in front of East Middle School, and the kids trying to cross from Hood Drive right there. And we've had lots of speeders, and I believe the city, we are short on crossing guards right now. And so I spoke to Chief about that, and I believe you've talked to TUA. Chief, would you mind just kind of giving an update real quick on that? Because that was from a citizen, so I want to make sure that we let the whole city know where we're at on that.
Yeah, basically a request had been made to move the start time forward for the school zones. The schools that were directly affected by that were Robert E. Lee and East Middle. So we met with TUA and
got with MTAS, discussed a few things, made sure it didn't create any issues for us on that end, and everything was good. So we got with TUA, and they were more than happy to move the start time up for us. So that school zone actually, instead of starting at 7:30 in the morning, will start at 7 a.m. So.
Okay, so we have a 7 a.m. start time, and then we're gonna have rolling patrolmen, correct, at some of the other schools?
That is correct.
Okay.
We've got some of our supervisors that are going to be spot checking some of the school zones, and we've already had some enforcement measures that have occurred in them. So.
All right, awesome. So there was a couple of people who actually reached out to me, a couple of citizens, and I really want to thank Chief and Ms. Moody for their diligent, quick efforts in getting that solved for me. So thank you so much. I had another resident reach out to me by the name of Amanda Harper, who is very interested in hosting, helping the city host another citywide trash pickup day. I know Daniel has been really great about going out and doing some of that, but this citizen was like, maybe we could, as a city, create an event where, maybe we focus on one part of the city and everybody adopts kind of an area, and all of us, go out there and try to clean up our city. I also met with Jennifer about or Miss Moody about our animal shelter and kind of where we're at. It's kind of great now that we are starting to get some data in that we can give out to the citizens. Since January, I believe, now we have somebody that's kind of taken note of how many dogs we're getting in, how many animals we're getting in, and how many adoptions are being made. And so we'll actually have some data and statistics to be able to show the general public. I did learn that we are actually a no-kill animal shelter, and what that means is that doesn't mean that there are no euthanizations that take place, but it means that we fall under a certain threshold that we actually can promote ourselves as a no-kill animal shelter. So I know we spend a lot of money on those great new facilities. So I want to encourage the public to, continue to adopt dogs and make sure that we are paying attention to what's going on out there and helping to support that any way we can. Also, we'll always take donations for that animal shelter as well, so bring those up to City Hall if you will. Another thing that since I've been in office that I was really big on was trying to create a fair evaluation process for Ms. Moody, and we had a couple of meetings on that, and it's my understanding that everybody has completed that, and we now have evaluations in place for our city administrator. So, and I hope that those were, I don't know if you've received those yet, maybe you will get them soon, but I know that I was really proud to hear that everybody completed that, and we've made some headway in that. Also, one other thing, there's going to be coming up in the near future, we will have some talks about the TDOT program that the city, we just don't have a lot of information about, but I've also had 3 individuals reach out to me about the stakes in the ground going from Cedar Lane, from the Speedway intersection going up Cedar Lane, about a widening project that's been kind of on the books for many years and some people are concerned about. And I did want to let the citizens know, the mayor know, that from my understanding with my talks with Ms. Moody is we don't have a lot of information about that project, and that we are going to be reaching out to the state to get more and hopefully have a public meeting set for that. Small business shout outs, Glicken Woods Dentistry. Thank you for your service to Tullahoma. I know that the city, or Ms. Cernovia, we were having an Easter egg hunt as well, but they also have an Easter egg hunt. 38 years. Thank you for that and your community service. And that Easter egg hunt this year will take place on April the 3rd, just if anybody wants to mark that on their calendar. Tullahoma Fine Arts Center became a member over the past couple of weeks, visited Sign of the Times, Great American Political Poster, really cool political, there's a lot of satire, political cartoons. And then I also noticed, Greg's in the audience tonight, that South Jackson is going to be hosting Henry Cho on April the 2nd, and I am definitely getting tickets to that. So thank you, Tullahoma, for being so wonderful. That's all I have, Mayor.
Is that all? Thank you, Alderman Almacher. You're a busy lady. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Alderman Berry.
Mr. Mayor, it'll be a lot
We're all busy.
shorter than that. I also attended the Arbor Day ceremony. That was pretty awesome, and I really enjoyed the story of the Liberty Tree. That was another well done by Mr. Lyle Russell. It was a little chilly. I'm a large guy, so I'll take it. The Comm Center, we've got another study session coming up there. Things are progressing. We'll just kind of keep in touch as things happen there. This Saturday was supposed to be kind of my catch-up on housework day, but I got some phone calls. One was to go, an invite to go watch the Little League tryouts, which is awesome. It's something that just almost feels like normal. Got to go around, and also just so happened that the middle school team was playing there, so I got to go catch some ball from them for a little bit. And then I try to drive through each sector of town once a month. So on my way home, I stopped over to check out the work at Jefferson Street Park, which is pretty awesome. And then I carry around my litter grabber and trash bag with me, so I got out there and cleaned up a little bit. Also, with the Get Fit Tullahoma, I want to talk with Ms. Dunn, the trash size.
Oh,
sounds-
that's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing, so I'm looking forward to having conversations on that. I've got kind of a thought in my head that I want to sit down with you and Miss Moody and just kind of talk about, make sure we're on the same page where that's going, and then plan kind of, been reaching out to people who've been involved, and want to make sure that they're still involved, and have kind of a brainstorming whiteboard session, because we're going to expand it from just the fitness to mental and social, and kind of encompass a health, not just a fit, but a healthy Tullahoma. Had my first meeting on the marketing committee for the South Central Tennessee Tourism. That's really exciting. And it's neat too. There's members from Chamber of Commerce and other cities on board as well, from Grundy County, all around this area. So it's really exciting to get to talk to them and see what they're doing. And hopefully, as things calm down a little bit, we're going to plan a field trip and go visit each of these counties so that we can see, because there's some really exciting stuff that does happen and attractions here in South Central Tennessee. And we want to get people not just driving down the interstate on their way through to somewhere, but stop here, love it here, move here. And so that's all I've got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you for all you do.
Sir.
Ms. McGee?
Okay, I don't think mine will be too long. Since our last meeting, the Tullahoma Housing Authority, they canceled their meeting once again due to some of the board members not feeling well. I also took my grandchildren to the airport on the first pretty day after the snow, the ice, when it was like 60 degrees. They got a kick out of watching the planes take off. They were really, really impressed when I told them that that was the original World War II hangar and the work that is being done there currently. So they were really interested in that. I too drove around the city and each sector of the city, and kudos to Alderman Blackwell for South Jefferson, the Jefferson Street Park. It looks really good. Also the basketball court over there, I believe that's Silver Street. That's a nice area as well, and there were a lot of kids out there playing basketball. I almost pulled over and had a flashback and put on my tennis shoes and joined them, but I thought I had to get up the next morning to go to work, so I didn't have any ibuprofen. I did attend the TAEDC meeting. New department stores will be coming to our city, new developments. A lot of people have been wondering what's going next to Hobby Lobby. That is going to be Big Lots, and their construction is on schedule. I think they have like 6 more months to their lease, and they'll be moving in next to Hobby Lobby. I am, along with South Jackson Civic Center, we're planning an Easter egg hunt April the 3rd at 2 p.m. And I was really trying to plan it on a different day of Glicken Woods. I didn't want to conflict. Do you know what time they're going to have?
Let me see if she let me know that. I asked her for more information.
Okay, just let me know.
Yes.
That Easter egg hunt is at 2 p.m. There will be prizes. There's going to be a guest appearance by the Easter Bunny that we're excited about.
10 a.m. Cernovia.
Okay.
It's 10 a.m.
Thank you. And I've also emailed the flyer to Dr. Stevens, and she has approved it to be distributed. Lyle Russell did a wonderful job on the Easter egg hunt flyer. I have emailed Miss Moody and talking to some of the citizens, a few concerns regarding roadways, sidewalks, street recognition, and Miss Moody, she did respond to those concerns, and as well as the Humane Society. I want to congratulate the honorees on tonight. Kudos to them. Also, I was noticing in the paper, as Alderman Armacher, she gives a shout out to small businesses. I just want to give kudos to T-Town Smoothie. I was reading in the paper today where they are paying it forward to anyone who cannot afford or needs a meal. So I just think that is wonderful for them to do that. You know, we're still in hard times from the pandemic, and I still have information, flyers, if anyone needs a flyer of where they can get resources that will help with utilities, their rent, and things of that nature. So please feel free to contact me, and I can meet you or I can mail you a copy of those resources. And I think that might be it, Mayor Noes.
Thank you, Alderman McGee. Mayor Pro Tem Blanche.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since our last meeting, I had a Tullahoma Utilities Authority meeting. They had just got off a big cleanup of the storm, and we talked at the last meeting, thanking all the public works crews and TUA and the police and the fire department that got out during that bad weather, and we recognized our employees at TUA for the work that they had done. We're still in the plus on signups for LightTube, so that continues to go. So if you need internet in this city, please contact TUA and they can get you hooked up with gigabit service. And the customer service is great. They speak Southern English when you call customer service, so that's always a positive. Arts Council is hopefully planning the art crawl for this spring. We'll talk about that probably this week, but spoke about that a little bit last meeting, but something where we get downtown and go from store to store, and that's a neat thing to have happen. Back talking about cleaning up different parts of the city, there at one time, the mayor and board of aldermen, and I think we still do, have a portion of Clement Drive that we count as our own that we clean up. Probably hadn't done that in a couple of 3 years, but maybe when the weather warms up, we, as a group, may go out one Saturday morning early, and 3 or 4 of us start on one end, and then we'll meet in the middle. And it's nasty, you know. I know some of y'all have done that.
We did it, yeah.
It's crazy. I go about once a month.
Yeah, it's crazy how, how quickly that can grow up, but we may want to plan on doing that. Only other thing I have is, on the consent agenda, we have a sort of an emergency appropriation for the pool heater, which, you click your heels and blink your eyes, and, it's 5 or 6 years since we refurbished the indoor pool. Miss Moody, do you know how long it's been since that opened?
I do not, I'm sorry.
Well, I would say, I'm thinking 3 or 4, and it's probably double that. It's
I think
probably
it's
6 to
definitely
8.
double that.
And of the pool heaters, I'm sure have a life expectancy. I would hope that they would be longer than 6 years or 8 years or however long it's been. But, I know that we've checked to make sure there's no warranty or whatever. I hadn't talked to anybody about this, but, I know, we had an indoor pool for years and years and years, and some of the upkeep and maintenance, we let that slide, and then we ended up having to revamp the whole indoor pool. I do not want to get in that same scenario if we can keep from it. So, the ones in the community that use that pool, they have to find some other option, go to Manchester, Winchester, or wherever when the pool is down, because it's closed because it's, unless you're an Eskimo or a polar bear, it gets too cold in there. So hopefully the pool heater will get here quickly. I know during COVID, a lot of the parts and stuff are hard to get, so hopefully that we'll get that fixed, and our pool people will be happy. The last thing I have is Shop Tullahoma. Make sure you buy it here if you can, because we like your tax money. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Blanche.
You're welcome.
Alderman Dunn.
Yes, sir, yeah. Well, to the cleanup effort, I think last year was the first year we hadn't done it in a long time because of COVID. And so we'd been doing that alongside with Earth Day. But you're right, it's something that I'm not ready for it. But yeah, so we do need to get that actually on the books and and on the calendars to make that happen. So thank you to Ms. Harper for reminding us. So I've been working with Go Green to get a couple of things done. I know I was really actually very glad to hear the rest of the board share concerns about our stormwater program at our last meeting. So this is something that's pretty important to me, and it's important to all of us really. And I think we've been working for a long time to focus on empowerment and education and leading by example. So this April 19th, we're going to have a rain barrel giveaway. So that's April 19th. That's going to be at the farmers market. I hope y'all will come. We're going to have, this is through a grant from TVA. So they're paying for these, the kits. And then I spoke to a gentleman at the Coke bottling plant, and they're providing the barrels for us. So we're out no money as far as taxpayers that way. I'm really excited that that's going to happen. So we're just going to lead a workshop and talk to people about how they can use them. And we had spoken. I know I'd spoken with Butch and our city engineer, our environmental engineer, and asked, if every household that currently recycles also had a rain barrel. So we're talking about 3,000 households. If we each had a rain barrel, we would see a significant difference in our flash flooding issues that we've seen. And I know, gosh, was it 2 years ago? I know I was driving down Anderson Street, and I looked to my left on Grundy and saw a car that had washed into a ditch. So some of this stuff is going to be preventable. We are going to have the same amount of rainfall, and we have much less impervious material. We've got more houses in Tullahoma than we ever have before, more roads, and the rain's going to keep falling. So we're going to have to do something about it, and we need to empower our citizens to take on these rain barrels so that they can feel like they can take ownership of that. And the next thing that we're going to have to do is lead by example. So I know that Butch Taylor and our environmental engineer and I have looked at a particular stretch of Rock Creek that if we are able to get that in better shape, we will, I think, be able to better control flooding in Tullahoma. I think people downstream in Timms Ford, all that Rock Creek is all going to Timms Ford. They're going to be able to better utilize that lake and not have to worry about as much trash there. So it's going to be a really big project, and we're looking for ways to remedy that. So just stay tuned on that. So that's something that's going to be really important. So also, I spoke with Vanderbilt Hospital, and I've spoke with the school system. Something that I've been concerned about for sure. I know that there are a lot of children that have experienced COVID this year. And it's one of those things that it's going to stay in your lungs for a while and cause some, it can leave some damage. So I think it's going to be even harder for some kids to breathe now than it ever has been. And I know that there are children in Tullahoma who suffer from asthma even before coronavirus. So I proposed to our school system, I talked to April Norris, who's the deputy director, and I talked to Rich Ellis at Vanderbilt. Talked to Vanderbilt Hospital about proposing a no idle zone. I know if you go to Robert E. Lee or East Lincoln or Farah or Bel Air or even the middle schools, how many cars do you think you could count, before 2 o'clock some days, and they're just sitting there. And now that it's getting warmer, some folks are going to be running their engines, and all that exhaust, it wears on you. It really does. And speaking, from experience having to do car duty outside, it can wear on you as a teacher as well. So we want to do the best we can to take care of our children and our teachers, and I think this is one other way to do it. So I'm really pleased to be able to partner with them to do that. And that's all.
Thank you, Alderman Dunn.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Blackwell.
Yes, let me pull open my thing. Whenever we have a mask on my face, my phone doesn't recognize my face. Jefferson Street Park. Yay, I'm glad you guys went out there. I'm not going to give too much of an update. I do know lines have been painted at this point. There is some conversations that Mr. Kirklick and I are having regarding lighting over there. There is some lighting changes already, but there's some larger, bigger picture things in the works right now to try to figure out lighting and to make sure that that park is well lit. And the goal, in all seriousness, I'm going to start back fundraising again because I think based on what I can tell, the goal is for us to hopefully be able to purchase some playground equipment. So just as a heads up as to what we are doing well financially because of so many amazing donors. So thank you to the community for their support on that. And of course, I will be likely calling you and asking for money to the community. Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. One of the things that came out of it, I've talked to you guys about this a bazillion times, is going into the school system and speaking with our 7th and 8th graders about healthy relationships. I'm really excited because last week I went into the middle schools, and you know, these are really tough conversations to have with kids, to talk to them about, you know, we don't talk really about dating per se. We talk about relationships in general. We talk about, and by we, I mean Kelly Gilbert talks about it, and I stand there and smile, but she talks to them about how important it is to watch for warning signs of control, power dynamics, etc. And you know, what surprises me every time is just how intuitive these kids are. You know, you think that they're 7th graders and that they may not be as mature and aware of what their surroundings are and aware of the interpersonal reactions that they're having, but they really are. And so I've just been really impressed with our students. I'm really impressed with our school counselors and how quickly they are to notice the conversations that we're having, to take note when there are warning signs that they need to then later follow up on. And so thank you to the school system. This is an ongoing project. I think I'm going next week, or is it this week, to East again for 8th grade. And then West will be in 2 weeks from now. I'm also hoping to also talk with some of our homeschool co-ops. So that is something that I'm hoping to do. I need to email someone back about that. But, you know, it's been a really great experience with that. I don't have that one. So that was Wednesday at East. Okay, this Tuesday, I do my coffee and conversations and queso and conversations once a month, and I have decided to split up the timings this week. So I'm doing Tuesday at Celtic Cup from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. That's where citizens can come and talk to me, bring me any issues they have. I feel badly. I usually send Miss Moody a giant email afterwards with questions. But so this is the way to come and talk to me in person. Thursday, I'll also be at Camino Real from 5 to 6 p.m. I'm trying to do this in times where people who work can come so that they're able to actually meet with me. Spring break starts on Friday for those of you that are wondering for the school system. And another shout out for the school system, my daughter's a virtual learner. They received a grant that Gina Bumbelow worked really hard to get that put together art kits for all the virtual students. So my daughter came running in this morning, just super excited to show me this amazing art kit with art supplies. So just an amazing thing that our school system is doing to support our students. I watched the Chamber celebration. I don't know if the rest of you guys did. It was awesome. Really interesting to see how our organizations are evolving during a pandemic. And so just congratulations to all the honorees. Coach Olive is the Citizen of the Year, and it was just great to see. So congratulations. Well deserved for years. So one thing I shared on social media that I wanted to bring up today is that there is, through the Tennessee Housing Development Agency, I think I got that right, there is COVID rent relief, and it is a program that you have to apply for, and it is to give funding to those people who are in need right now because of COVID, to help with their rent as well as to help with utilities. So if there are citizens that are in need, this is a great place to go. It's through the state. Of course, they're helping to fund this. So I recommend looking at that website. I know Tullahoma Housing Authority, thank you, Cernobia, for getting that information, and for Jimmy for the Utility Authority, will be taking payments from that as well. So this is just something that I know that this has been a really tough last year. So please utilize that. It's there to help you. The Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion, we have formed our steering committee and are about to hopefully meet in the next week or two. So that's exciting as well. And then I had one final thing. Oh, that's right. My one thing that I would like to actually meet with you all about, Alderman Berry, is that I reached out to the National Eating Disorder Alliance to talk to them about getting possibly trained on what's called their Body Project. For those of you who don't know, I suffered with the anorexia for a long time in my life, and I think that one of the things I'd like to do is partner with the school system as well to bring conversations about, as well, a healthy body image to our school system. So those are some things I'm working on, and that's it. Oh, and soccer season.
Thank you very much, Alderman Blackwell. Youth Mayor Petros Pisnos. What else would you add that you would like to tell us that's going on in high school currently?
Well, yeah, in addition to our homecoming ceremony that just happened, we do have prom. I believe it's April 10th. It's that Saturday. It got moved from like Northgate Mall and being outside back to the gym now, so we're all happy about that. And I don't really know what the theme is. We voted on that at the beginning of the year, but I forgot. We're all excited though. We're just happy that, because prom was canceled last year due to COVID, and then the seniors got a little gathering at the end. We're just happy that the juniors and seniors this year can get together, have some fun, have their own little prom. Yeah.
Very good. I'll just give you a little tidbit about the resume that I read from Mr. Pisnos. He indicated that he works at the restaurant which his parents run, and he's been working there. He says on his resume he's been bussing tables there since he was 2 years old. So he's had a fair amount of experience. He can really bus tables well now, but he's graduated, so he's moved up through the ranks there. So thank you for being with us tonight again.
Thank you for having me.
One of the things about being mayor, when you have a board like this, you can see that it makes the mayor's job very easy because things are getting done in this community. I'm telling you, when I look around this table and see all the things that are going on, I'm very impressed. So every one of you, I sincerely thank you for all that you do. Since I'm on the airport board, let me just give you a heads up on some things that are going on there. We've got some new hangars going up, but one of the things going on is, as mentioned earlier, is the new hangar that's going up out there by Mr. Wilkerson, that he's going to have 3 businesses in this old World War II hangar there. And that building is currently being renovated. He's spending close to $1 million on the renovation of that building. That's going to be an asset to the community, for sure. Another thing that's going on related to the airport is the AOPA, Airline Owners and Pilots Association, have a curriculum that they have developed for high school seniors. For high school students, primarily for seniors, but that's being introduced in our high school. They have, with the help of Alderman Blackwell, we've taken that to the high school. And the high school principal there, Mr. Quick, is very excited about it and is looking to make that a part of the curriculum for this following year. So that, is with Tullahoma as an aerospace center of excellence, having that as a part of the curriculum in high school is only appropriate. So I'm excited about that. Planning Commission, of course, we have some things tonight going on that have come from the Planning Commission. So I met with the Planning Commission last meeting, and as some of the aldermen have mentioned, the Arbor Day celebration for planting a tree. That this tree, I'm told, grows 3 to 5 feet every year. So I'm excited about watching it grow because it's literally just a twig now. But I'm excited to see what it does. I grew up under the shade of an American elm when I was growing up, and it died due to it got the COVID virus, I guess. But anyway, it died. Anyway, that's
Dutch elm disease.
Anyway, thank you again, Alderman, for all that you do. I'd like to ask now a report from our city attorney.
First of all, it's just wonderful to see y'all again collectively. It's been a long time, it seems like, and I think we interact so much better when we're all here together, and I'm glad that the mayor decided to let us do this, and I'm happy to be here with you all tonight. I've been joining you by telephone in all these other meetings because I don't know how to operate Zoom on my computer, so we're back here again in person, and that's great. I'm a member of the tree board. I have the honor of having been appointed that by the mayor, and we had a very good meeting, sort of an organizational meeting and an inspirational meeting last Wednesday night to discuss some initiatives that we want to bring before the board again in relationship to increasing our tree canopy in Tullahoma and the Arboretum that you all enjoyed last Friday. Unfortunately, I had a crisis that arose at my office just before that event occurred, and I had to call Mr. Graham and tell him that I couldn't be there, but I understand it was a very, very good affair, and I'm glad you all made that. I know you all hear me a lot talking about property taxes, but as Ms. Golden will tell you, property taxes form a significant contribution to our budget process and our revenues every year. We have successfully filed the property tax cases for the collection of the 2019 delinquent taxes. They'll all be ready now to have process served on them. I've gotten them back from the clerk and master's office for that matter. We've got a lot of payments already made through the end of February for those, and we're also continuing to work on the research that we need to do for the eventual delinquent property tax sale we plan on having later on this year. You might not know this, but 5 years ago, the city entered into a lease for the building next to Genesco, where Rock 10 used to be located, and that lease is expiring in April, so I'm going to get with Ms. Moody and get with the owners of that company that's leasing it from us and negotiate a new lease with them next month. The Rotary Club in 1997 planted some very beautiful shrubs and trees on the south side of the west end of the underpass going under the railroad out on Washington Street. And there's been some problems about maintenance for that for a number of years. The Rotary Club has decided to take that over and has engaged in a landscaping company to do the maintenance work on that. So very soon you'll see that cleaned up, and hopefully it'll be maintained in the future in a very attractive way. I will deliver to Mayor Cordell, County Mayor, an interlocal agreement that I've talked with the county attorney about and negotiated with him regarding relative to the annexation of property north of town near Hunter's Ridge on Linkavoka Road. And that'll be delivered to the mayor's office this week for his review prior to its being introduced to the legislative committee of the county commission, which is a prerequisite that they're approving it. Before then we can go before the planning commission and then the board of mayor and aldermen eventually. So do y'all have any questions about anything? Okay, thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Worsham. Report from our city administrator, Ms. Moody.
Thank you. I'd like to give you an update that we do have a filed House bill and Senate bill regarding our city elections moving to August of even years. And I'll continue to give you updates as that passes through the legislature. I also want to thank the intern that's working in my office, but also introduce him to all of you. I'm working with Jordan Wilkins. He's a graduate student at TSU, getting his master's in public administration, and he'll be graduating this May. But before he does, he has to get 300 hours of experience in local government, and he is doing that with us. And driving from Smithville 3 days a week to be here. So I really appreciate his work, and look forward to maybe helping him get a job in May. I'll be taking him with me to the Tennessee City Managers Association conference next month. And already he's proven himself really valuable and has helped track our bill through the legislature. Also, speaking about the indoor pool, it's on tonight's consent agenda. So to your point, I know that is really valuable exercise and really important to our Tullahoma Swim Club. And there is a 4 to 5 week delay for that to be delivered and installed for us. And so we treated it as an emergency purchase. It's been ordered, but for transparency and to make sure you're aware of it, it's on tonight's consent agenda. We have another emergency repair project. I want to say back in September, we started to see evidence that a major drainage system under Wagner Street was failing and starting to collapse the sidewalk and the roadway there. And so you've probably seen barrels and how one lane of that roadway is closed. We very quickly started working with our partners at South Central Tennessee Development District that helped guide us with federal grant applications. And they directed us to a program under the Community Development Block Grants. It's called Imminent Threat. And so the state, they're very competitive, and the state, I think every year, just 2 or 3 projects are funded under that imminent threat category, meaning that you can be funded outside of the normal application time period. And so we put together a very quick application. Mayor Noah sent a letter requesting emergency assistance. I think we've had a couple of interviews with them to answer follow-up questions. And I just received word on Friday that they are supporting our application, looking at possibly funding us $225,000, which this is a probably $250,000 to $300,000 project. And so that will significantly offset our costs and allow us to make the repair sooner than we would have been able to. But now we need to follow through and have a full application. That will include a public meeting. And so you'll see us advertise that very soon, to have a public meeting and let the community know that we're applying for these funds to make the repairs. And then I'll just reserve the rest of my time. I want to introduce our police chief, Jason Williams. He's been here just over a year, and we'll be giving, I think, our first police annual report.
All right. Well, it's an honor to stand here before you this evening, especially after all the COVID protocols that have been in place, to kind of get back and see everybody's smiling face this evening. So I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. My prior boss told me, if you want to be successful when giving presentations, every good presentation has a good solid beginning and a good solid ending. But the really great ones, those two things are as close together as possible. So, just to talk about some of the things that have gone on last year, going through the process to be able to stand here before you was a very rigid and extensive process. I can't thank Miss Moody enough for the process that she put together and the things that all the competition and everybody went through. It was probably one of the most challenging things of my career. So I'll make it through all of that. And, we're getting our game plan together. We're getting our vision together. Like, we're cooking with gas now, and then boom, a pandemic hits. So, you can only hear, that's never happened here before so many times before you start to doubt yourself as to what's going on. So, but we've come through a lot of things. We've been able to work through a lot of situations as an agency, and I think as we implement what my vision has been for the agency and in our plan to make that vision a reality and start going through those processes as we have been, I can't thank my men and women enough for being open and embracing a lot of those philosophies. It's made us a much stronger agency already and a more resilient agency already. I won't go into our mission statement and our vision, but I do want to touch on our core values for the agency just very quickly. Why are our core values important moving forward in the way we operate? We have posters all around the police department that say, your example is critical to our mission within this community. So our core values are the things that we really want to represent as an agency in their tenacity, pride, and dignity. We're committed to the safety of Tullahoma. We take ownership in our work and our attitude, and we have a more obligation to treat people correctly. So, one of the things I touched on in my acceptance speech to take this position is that great law enforcement agencies do not happen by coincidence, but rather they are the result of vision, strategic planning, and community partnerships. One of the things that, I kind of made a priority getting here, and it's been so awesome to do, is work with not only the department heads, but really reach out to a lot of our public safety partners in the surrounding area. And with that being said, I want to say thank you to the Tullahoma Fire Department, the Coffee County Sheriff's Office, Manchester Police Department, Coffee County Emergency Management, Coffee County 911, and Coffee County EMS. They have really been awesome to work with and partner with. Now, as we move forward and get past a lot of the COVID stuff, we can start focusing on our inter-community relationships a lot more. And, like I said, hopefully once we get past a lot of the COVID restrictions, there's a lot of plans that we're going to be working on to address some things. So, just a quick overview of our 2020 highlights. I know I'm throwing quite a bit of information here, but some of the top points. We were able to improve our communications. That was a thing that we addressed as soon as we got here that we saw was a weakness. We worked to implement 12-hour shifts, which I wouldn't have been able to do without the assistance from Ms. Moody, Director Costa Bryce, and Finance Director Sue Wilson to make all that work. So once again, being able to work with so many different department heads, I can't thank them enough to be able to get these plans and get them into place. We've made a lot of different procedural changes at the police department, not only in how the workflow of things go, but also how we can collect data moving forward. I feel it's very important not only to be able to have some very vital pieces of that data, but also to be able to verify, okay, this is how we're getting this data. And as a result of that, we've cut out a lot of processes that were repetitive, and that saves us time and saves us money as an agency. We've changed a lot of our input methods when it comes to our traffic accident reporting as well as our incident reports, and revamped a lot of our training protocols when it comes to how we're onboarding new officers into our environment. Implemented more efficient policy softwares, which will help us as we move forward and make a push to become an accredited law enforcement agency over the next couple of years. And this will help us also be able to adjust our policies on the fly to incorporate the best accepted practices, especially as case law changes, which in turn affects how we do and what we do. It also will allow us to focus on the how and the why of what we're doing when we talked earlier about our core values and incorporating those things. We've sent officers already to become instructors in specialized training with a focus on de-escalation techniques and also a lot of less lethal options within the police department. The more tools we can give our officers, then the better served we're going to be by that. And the new police department, we can't, that is going to be so amazing when we get operational out of that thing. It just is really going to be a beacon of pride, I think, for our men and women, this community. And as we move forward with our vision for the agency, hopefully become kind of a central focus with training and being able to co-train with a lot of other law enforcement agencies in the area. In 2020, I had the distinct privilege of being able to honor the efforts of our employees over 29 different times throughout the year. This goes without saying, but they truly are the heartbeat of our organization, and we would never be successful without the hard work and dedication of our men and women. And here's the 2020 overview of the stats for the police department. As you can see, there are some variances within them. I alluded to earlier talking about how we changed some of the input methods on things, on how we're collecting the data that we're accumulating right now. The traffic accidents do appear to be up for the same time last year, but that is also a result of the way the data is being input into how we're gathering it now. And since I've been here over a year now, I'm just starting to build now what that data will look like historically at certain years down the road. So, but I'll entertain any questions anybody might have on any of the data or anything. All right. Well, in closing, I would just like to thank you all for your continued support of our agency and our men and women. It means more to them than you'll know. Like any public safety job or any public service job, it's often a very thankless job. So the continued support means a lot to us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do you have anything else, Ms. Moody?
I do not.
Before we move into the consent agenda, I would like to remind the Aldermen that next week we'll be having the Tennessee Municipal League will be in session, virtual session. Normally, until last year, I had attended that for 5 years in a row. It's really a worthwhile conference to attend, and I would encourage you to participate in that virtually beginning next Monday and Tuesday. Okay.
I would just like to add, I heard through the grapevine, or maybe the jelly bean vine, I don't know which you would say here, but the Glick and Woods Easter egg hunt is on March 27th, so March 27th. So,
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure, because that came from Kim today.
oh,
So,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. We'll just figure it out.
So many eggs.
So many eggs. It's a mystery.
Okay, hang on. We will
I
make
sure don't
sure and
wanna
announce
show
it
up
at the
and
next meeting
look-
for sure.
I don't want to show up and look for Easter eggs
I
and there,
know.
no one else show up.
There's only so much
Just
passed
prove that
out.
they're all really well
Call me,
hid.
Mr.
Wouldn't
Mayor.
that be
We'll hunt
terrible?
them together.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Okay, with the consent agenda, let me remind you that the consent agenda is items that are considered non-controversial, and unless a board member or citizen has requested them, each of the items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately if anyone chooses. So during this portion of the meeting reserved for comments from citizens as shown on the agenda, citizens may request that the board, mayor, and alderman remove an item from the consent agenda so discussion can be held separately. Is there anyone that chooses to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, let me read the caption for the consent agenda. Item number 21-29, the minutes from the February 22nd meeting. 2130 is accept a grant award of $1,000 from Tennessee Department of Agriculture Enhancement Program to support the farmers market. Thank you. Item number 2131 is to ratify the emergency purchase in the amount of $28,306 for replacement of the indoor pool heater at D.W. Wilson Community Center. 21-32 is to approve a list of city property to be declared surplus. 2133 is to set a public hearing for March 22nd, 2021 on the request to rezone property from that's from 200 Flowertown Road from high-density residential to C2 commercial. Item number 2134 is to set a public hearing March 22nd on a request for rezone a parcel at 300 South Atlantic Street from commercial to C3. That's from C1 to C3. Item 2131 is to set a public hearing on March 22nd on a request to rezone a parcel on the 200 block of Flowertown Road that is from low-density residential R1 to C2 commercial. That's from Mr. Hill Power Pro. 2136 is to set a public hearing on March 22nd on a text amendment for Section 804 of non-conforming lots of record. Thank you, Mary. So that is the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Moved from Alderman Blackwell and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem
Mr. Mayor.
Blackwell.
I sent a text to clarify. You are correct. I am very sorry. Let me just, if I could, clarify really quick. March 27th at 10 a.m. is going to be the Glicken Woods. April 3rd is going to be Miss Cernobia's at what time?
2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. March 27th at 10 is Glicken Woods. April 3rd at 2 o'clock at South Jackson. Excuse me, stand correct.
Can I attend both?
Yes, please.
Please do.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. We have a motion from Alderman Blackwell, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Blanks on the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll take our vote.
That's weird.
Yay.
I know.
It's upside down.
Hey, we get to vote all at the same time.
There we go. That'd be right. Okay, so let's see.
And I believe we have 7-0, so that motion carries. Under old business, ordinance number 1547 is an ordinance of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee to amend Title II, Boards and Commissions set for Tullahoma Municipal Code to provide for and define partial terms. This is on a second reading, so this is to ensure that if someone serves a partial term less than 6 months, then that will not count as a term. Does everyone understand?
Motion to approve.
I'll entertain a motion.
Daniel had a motion. Motion to approve.
Got a motion from Alderman Berry, seconded by Alderman Palmacher. Any discussion on that? Not, all vote. Motion carries 7-0. Under new business, we have a motion to a resolution for a resolution number 1854 to amend the annual budget for the fiscal year 2021. We'll get a motion, then we'll have a comment on that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Blackwell, seconded by Alderman Dunn.
Wait, I just,
Barry.
we get confused.
Barry, you're not Barry. I'll just point. Okay, with that resolution, we have, the budget is in your packet. It's on begins on page 27. And let me tell you that, in my opinion, Alderman, the city finance director, Sue Wilson, has done a great job in putting that together, showing the additional revenue that we have taken in that had not been budgeted and how that additional revenue was to be expended. So are there any questions about that? If there are no questions, we'll vote on the resolution. That resolution passes 7-0. Thank you. Resolution number 1855 is to support the state acquisition of Martin Methodist College in establishing a 4th campus of the University of Tennessee system. Mr. Bryant spoke on that earlier tonight, and you had the resolution that was in your packet that I will be signing if it's approved by this board. I was asked earlier to submit a resolution, and I did not want to submit the resolution as the mayor without having the approval of the board to do that. That's why it's on the agenda tonight. So do I hear a motion for that resolution?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Blackwell, seconded by Barry. And if there are any questions, we'll refer them to Ms. Diane, since she's been so nice to stay here and enjoy our meeting tonight. Are there any questions about this?
Ms. Diane, since you stayed, I have a couple of questions, if you'll come to the podium.
Don't disappoint. You're worthwhile.
This is adding a 4th university, a 4th school to the university, which will include UT Knoxville, UT Martin, UT Medical School, UTSI. Is that correct?
Not UTSI, yeah, Chattanooga.
So Chattanooga, Knoxville, Martin, and Pulaski.
Memphis.
No?
Well, I think UTSI is considered, because of being entirely
Doctoral.
yes, doctoral.
Yeah.
It's not considered in the same status of these 4.
And I think same with the
not
veterinary
undergraduate.
school
Yeah.
and all that.
These are
It's
undergraduate.
Well,
considered
and
a
that's one of my
professional.
questions. The other
Okay.
question, you said 300-mile radius of that area is underserved.
Yes,
300 miles would include Middle Tennessee State, UT Chattanooga, UT Martin would fall under that, TSU, anything, University of Memphis. I know what they're trying to do, but some of the data that's been presented, I don't know if I totally think that's totally accurate. A lot of the kids, there was the discussion or the debating point that a lot of those kids were going to Alabama. Well, a lot of the kids go to Alabama, UAH in particular, for technical stuff. Martin Methodist is a liberal arts school, am I correct?
right, but I think this is going to give them a lot of tools to be able to broaden their programs.
Correct. Do we know what the cost of the acquisition of Martin Methodist is?
You know, I do not, but I do know that it's been in that's been in Governor Lee's budget, and it has been blessed, if you will. I don't know if it's all been finalized, but I think it's well within a working presentation in the state's opinion.
What's the nearest community college to Martin Methodist, do we know?
That can't be Columbia.
Tennessee Technology.
Columbia State.
Pretty close to
No, that's
Okay,
east.
okay.
It's Columbia State.
All right.
I will add to Dr. Blank's question, the resolution that was submitted to us, it states the state will receive the assets of Martin Methodist College at no cost. So I believe the acquisition is happening at no cost, but the presentation that Mayor Noes and I attended, they discussed a $5 million annual request to support the college.
And I think that is for more of an operational standpoint. And Jimmy, I think that from the conversations that I've had with President Boyd, I think he feels that those rural areas are so underserved that to try to even ask students to drive to Murfreesboro and drive to Chattanooga is still putting an undue burden on them, where if they could have a tuition that was more reasonable in a closer drive, it would really help those areas. And we're right on the eastern fringe of that. I mean, we're right on the eastern fringe of that. But I think this is just, it's still something that's so important for that 13 county area. And we start looking at the labor force, and we start looking at the ability to try to attract different kinds of industry. We've got to improve the workforce development in that wider range of an area. And I think they feel strongly that this could be an important block in building that.
I'd just like to sit down with the stakeholders of the community colleges without any kind of press or anybody there to see what their opinions would be of this.
Now, my conversations with several people, because of being on the Gaddis Regional Group, we've got a lot of representation with Motlow and have from the very beginning. I think they just still see it as a working partnership that just puts one more player on the field. And it just helps gives their students something to aspire for.
What's enrollment at Martin Methodist, do you know?
I do not know.
Do they have dormitories there, do you know?
Yes, they do.
They do.
How many dorms? Do we know?
Enrollment's around 300.
And I'm thinking maybe two-thirds of I think two-thirds of the student body is in dorms.
And were you saying that's going to be mostly graduate level programs that they serve there?
No. They're hoping to graduate and encourage education, nursing,
undergraduate degrees.
And yes, and business. That's the three areas of emphasis that they feel is so underserved in that area.
So with our 2+2 programs that we currently partnership, we have with Motlow, and it just it's basically competing with the same. My question is, I think the focus is to talk about more affordable higher education, but how, what is the difference in cost versus, is it going to be where now everybody, are we going to basically take away from I think that's the concern, the community colleges to pull towards Martin Methodist and, competition is great, don't get me wrong, but what's the cost difference? I mean, how much are we lowering the cost?
I think when you really start digesting what everybody is trying to accomplish in the Drive to 55 and to get a certain percentage of our high school graduates to have post-secondary education, I think there's a place for the community colleges, but then there's that next step afterwards.
Yes.
The community colleges, I don't think, feel threatened in any way, shape, or form in respects to this type of situation, because it's giving that third year and that fourth year, and it's giving a lot of better choices to those kids.
Well, we have 2+2 programs at Motlow. I think that's the concern, because we already have those third and fourth year programs at Motlow in nursing and in education. And so are they over? My question is, if we're overfilled, then that creates a need.
Well, and that's sure. and in the nursing area is definitely a need.
Okay.
And I think the rural community feels strongly that there's, from an education standpoint, to get the education degrees, there's a big need.
This may not be popular. I'd love to see more technical type schools. We're sending kids off to four-year colleges and they're graduating with $40,000 in debt, and they get married and now they're $80,000 in debt, and they got a psychology degree and they're working at McDonald's. Which I think I had heard
Which
that was one of the
you could
most
help-
common.
You could help people pick out, do you want french fries or do you want?
How does this make you feel? So I guess is this,
You
the
sound like
state's
my dad.
already got money aside, it's already in the budget. Is this already a done deal and we're just saying?
We're just putting our stamp of
Well,
approval.
yeah, I think
We're
we're just
okay with
trying
it?
to include the
Yes.
city of Tullahoma in the packet that is being presented to the state.
It is a done deal as far as the state legislature is concerned.
I think as of, 3 weeks ago, I think it was the last time you and I
Yes,
talked
but
about it.
what-
It went before.
What Martin and UT are looking for is to get as much buy-in, much support as they can. And that's what this question is about. Is it the desire of this board to submit this resolution, number 1855, that you have in your packet, as it's read? Shall we submit that to support this
I didn't have
proposition?
questions until
Yeah.
Alderman Blanks, but now I've got questions running through my head, like what prompted this? If they've only got 300 students, are they in debt? Are they looking to get bailed out? Is it $5 million? Now I have all kinds of stuff running through my head, and I don't know if I want to put a stamp of approval on there.
It's interesting because, like, one of the things I heard that Mayor Noes and I heard in the school system while we were there is, we were talking to one of the students who's graduating, and she's going she's going out of state, and she was saying that overall she got more scholarship money out of state than at our UT system. And I talked to Mr. Quick, and he was like, "Yeah, we're seeing that."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I can definitely speak that the scholarships at UA, what I've worked with kids with ACT, you're getting a lot more money out of UA. So
It's not that they don't have access to a UT school system, they're just getting,
yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's
you're
more
right, it can be
affordable
both.
for
yeah,
them
if
to
it's
even go
a
out of
difference of
state.
$80,000 or $40,000 in scholarships, why would you not take the $80,000?
and they're going far out of state, and that's what frustrates me is that we talk about a brain drain in our community, or if
there's a
they
lot
aren't
to-
able to afford their own state schools.
Sure, and there's a
How
lot
does
to
this
speak
make
to
it
that.
more
I mean,
affordable, I think is the question.
I think,
you know.
a lot of the folks at this table, when we went to school, we stayed in the area where we were at. I know I was in Knoxville for close to 10 years, and part of the reason was there wasn't a choice for me to go somewhere near Tullahoma. Not that I was, because I knew everything when I was 18, but I definitely wasn't going to stay. But I mean, like we need to be able to support our neighbors in some of these areas like Sequatchie County, Van Buren County. I mean, it's hard to get off that mountain and go all the way to Murfreesboro. It doesn't sound like that bad for us, but you're out in the sticks sometimes,
Yeah.
and we need to.
Well, they have Cookville that they can attend.
Sure,
They
but-
have UTC. I mean, there's other options. I just don't,
Well, just,
to me, when I saw this resolution, I thought it was odd that they were asking us.
Yeah.
Then I questioned even further, anything has to do with money, really. So, I mean, if it's a done deal and it's already in the governor's packet and he's already approved this, the side dressing of saying 300-mile radius and these other things that they're talking about, that's a little bit weird to me when I know we have other schools that they can attend.
Does this
Well, and-
increase the cost will the cost of going to Martin Methodist increase or decrease? if
It
UT
should
gets-
decrease.
Well, it should decrease because it is a private school and it is more of a liberal arts school and the hope and most of this goes back to the work that Randy Boyd did when he was the economic commissioner and when he saw the discrepancies with these rural communities, and it just still goes back to labor, it still goes back to workforce development, and it still goes back to trying to strengthen, this region. And I think that's the underlying factor there. And yes, it is a part. We are considered kind of the big brother, sister of all of those counties. They look to us for guidance because we have so many good things going for us in this community. And I think it would just be, I think it would be very fitting for, the city of Tullahoma to be supportive of this. And then the second part is, if we look at the workforce development component and we look at the labor force and we look at any type of post-secondary education. This is still giving people, once again, one more choice and a more affordable choice than what they've got right now. And that driving distance does make a difference when you're off in you know, Giles County or Wayne County or any of those places as well. So I think that's the strong motivation behind this. I really do.
Well, school's expensive. I know it's, you know, it's a mortgage to go to University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I think the last I checked, it was almost $130,000 for 4 years. That's a lot of money. That's a nice house too. So I think anything we can do to make it more reasonable for people to be able to find a career is very good. So thank you.
And if it's already a school that's already in existence, is it really creating competition, or is it just lower, other than the fact that it's lowering prices, right?
And hopefully giving more options to those students in that area
And who need
to
that.
bring some better programs in.
Let me clarify, I did misspeak when I spoke about the number of students there. They have 1,100 students. I believe it's 300 that they can
house.
Okay. So that's a lot of commuters.
Well, it's a nice little, if you've never been to Pulaski and seen Martin Methodist, it's a nice little community, it's a nice little college up on the hill. The pretty campus. They have, I'm not opposed to this, but I did not want to sign this resolution unless I have the support of this board. And if that's why we have Mr. Brown here tonight to talk in some detail about it. So if there's any other questions for Ms. Brown? If not, I'll call the question. We have a motion and a second. So all in favor, vote green, vote yes, vote positive. Motion carries 5-1. 6 to 1. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bryant. I appreciate you being here tonight. Back to new business. Item number 2137 is to consider approval of the purchase of 2.03 acres of real property at the intersection of Woker Road and Riley Creek Road at the amount of $60,000 and authorize the mayor to execute all related documents. This has been before the Planning Commission on a couple of times, this plot of land. So if we can get a motion, we could have a discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second.
Somebody else can have it.
Okay.
It's all right.
You're doing so well, guys. Just
It's a dance.
This, I'll just give a little background. I'll defer to San Diego if I don't cover everything. But this is Alderman. This came up at a Planning Commission meeting to approve this tract of land to divide it into 4 lots at this Y intersection. The owner agreed that if the city wanted to enter into negotiations, he would defer. He pulled it off the Planning Commission meeting last week in order to give the city an opportunity to negotiate the acquisition of the property. So the location, if you're all familiar with, it's the intersection is going to have some significant improvement to improve the safety, traffic flow there. So it would accommodate that. It could also accommodate some flood control, water runoff that we need to catch a basin there to catch the runoff. To accommodate that is one of the reasons for considering this acquisition. Certainly, it's needed for the safety at developing that intersection. So if we get a motion, we got a motion and a second. So are there questions about that or any discussion?
I have questions. So he submitted a subdivision plat for 4 new lots there in that lot, correct? And so what, did that go before the Planning Commission to begin with? And so what was the result of that? Did the Planning Commission
We
not-
voted to postpone it.
It was deferred, it was postponed for further study because of the traffic and the water runoff. It was postponed at the first meeting. for further study by the city engineer for the traffic and the water runoff. Okay, at the next monthly meeting, which was just last week, the city saw the need to have that property anyway, so we entered into discussion. Last board meeting here, you gave the authority to the board, to the city attorney and to Ms. Moody to approach the owner about acquisition of the property. They have approached the owner about the acquisition of that property, and this is why we're bringing it back now to authorize the purchase. They have negotiated the amount.
So if we authorize the purchase, are we also authorizing the planning commission to basically, if we buy this property, what I don't want to see is the city buy it and do nothing with it. So are we prepared as a board, or have we talked about specifically, have you talked about how we're going to use that property with the engineers, and do they have a plan in place before we?
And
okay.
I included some information about that traffic study and our plans for improvements in the memo, just to specifically address that this current budget year that we're in, when we received the governor's local support grant, this body voted for $125,000 of that grant to be spent on these traffic safety improvements. And so we will be completing those this spring, or really just hopefully in the next couple of months with our paving contract. So that's the first improvement that will be seen. We have not designed anything. We haven't owned the property, so we haven't designed anything in terms of stormwater retention or improvements on the property. We believe that we will be able to put in some type of retention, but it's all subject to having surveys and getting out on the site. I don't want to over-promise in that area, is why I'm being a little bit careful. I will say I think a third benefit to this is that we're preserving it as open space. So Mr. Howard, if we even back up a step before this current subdivision plat, Mr. Howard is a developer. He develops all over Manchester and Tullahoma. And he initially had requested a rezoning of this 2 acres to commercial property and wanted to locate a small retail type of establishment on the property, and it failed to be approved for rezoning, which I do agree with. I think that at the time it would have been spot zoning. So he came back after that failed rezoning and decided to develop what he does typically, which is single family development. And I think if 4 homes were here, I can only imagine how much worse visibility would be at this intersection, since we know that even political signs during an election cause problems at this intersection.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that, at least in the short term, we're going to make our traffic safety improvements, the near-term improvements that were recommended by the study, and we're going to preserve this as open space that we can maintain visibility at that intersection. And then very recently, the last 6 months or so, we've had a lot of interest in new subdivision developments in the urban growth boundary just outside of our city limits that all rely on Avoca Road as a major route to those proposed developments. So as traffic increases over the next, I would say, 20 or 30 years, maybe a signal will be warranted at this intersection, and we might want to use the property for even further traffic improvements.
So I have one more question.
Okay.
So when we say we're going to authorize negotiations, I know that land in that general vicinity is at like all-time high right now.
True.
I'm concerned that we're going to pay top dollar for land that if we waited a little while might not.
And I will.
Yes, the purchase at 60,000. Yeah, it's 2
I'm glad
acres
that
at
you brought that
60,000
up, because I think that is probably important for the
$30,000 an
citizens. For the citizens to know that we did do our due diligence on this and working with the city attorney.
I did some research and talked with realtors here in town, and it's my opinion that this price is a bargain to the city. Lots in that area are selling for $20,000 to $30,000 a piece.
Right now,
and they're
yes.
selling like hotcakes because we have so little land available for development already in Tullahoma. So this price that he has given us really is less, I believe, than the market value of that property. We don't see any reasonable reason why the planning commission should not approve the 4-lot subdivision
Yes.
that he's proposed. It meets all of the requirements, though some of them are minimal, but it meets them all. So that if he were to develop those into 4 lots, it's my opinion that he could probably get about $30,000 a piece for them. And he's selling this property to us for $60,000.
I like the idea, I don't like the price, I'll just say that.
Well,
Yeah,
the negotiation has been, that's what they've done, is done the negotiation.
Okay.
And as it's less than half market price.
I would disagree with that, but.
Anyway, that's the data that we've got. So anyway, that's, the negotiations are done. It's a matter now, do we sign the check? That's where we are today.
And to Mr. Worsham's point, in terms of him coming to the planning commission with the ability to split that into 4 properties, I sit on the planning commission, and I'm sitting here like, I'm glad it was postponed to the next time, but looking at it, he has legally, he could do that. I think that this is the time where we can get in here, purchase this property, and ensure that that does not happen, which is important. When you listen to the community, they're like, we do not need those 4 properties there. We already have massive amounts of water retention issues. I've heard from, since I even posted like, hey, this is on the agenda, people have come to me and said, I was in a car accident there. I didn't call anyone or tell anyone, but I was in a car accident there. To me, this is a safety concern, and I think it's well worth the price.
I've got pictures on my phone
Yeah.
from going to visit people there after it rains, and I've almost been in wrecks there from people flying down that stretch, and I think this is,
Safety.
it's a safety thing.
Is there any further discussion? Now we'll call the question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Pass.
Can't even see it.
7-0.
7-0.
You're looking at the screen versus the wall.
We'll get used to this one day. Motion passes 7-0. Yes, this thing. Oh, me. New item number 2138. Consider the approval for the city administrator to negotiate and authorize the mayor to execute a 1-year lease agreement between the city of Tullahoma and the Literacy Council, or in other words, the bookshelf, for the use of real property at 114 Southwest Atlantic Street, subject to final review of the lease agreement by the city attorney. We'll get a motion on the floor, and we'll have some discussion, and we have here tonight the face of the bookshelf, Ms. Dot Watson, and we'll let her address why this is necessary.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Pro Tem Blanks and a second by Alderman Blackwell. Last Wednesday, about 10 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from Ms. Watson. Said, Mr. Norris, we've been evicted. We're having to move from our location in the mall. Can you help us find a spot? Well, I could not say no, but I didn't know where this spot might be. So we had a chat and talked to Ms. Moody about where might we find a spot. Ms. Moody suggested this 114 Southwest Atlantic Street, and Ms. Watson has looked at that property. And Ms. Watson, since you're here this evening, would you care to address the board before we vote on this, just to give us a synopsis of your plans for your future home, if it's approved here tonight? And thank you for coming and being here tonight to talk to us about the Literacy Council and the bookshelf.
Thank you. I also have 2 other members, Donna Bolton and Marquita Masuda, with me. And we would be so appreciative for this property. We have been in Northgate Mall for 5 years. We did not have a lease with the mall. We were invited to be there partially because they needed more people in the mall. And so we started in one unit there, and they said, now, you know, if we rent this one, you'll have to move to another unit, which is what we did. We're in our third space there. It was just difficult when we had been told a week ago that we had 1 to 2 years before all the planning that they're doing for changing the mall. And so we were very shocked when they came in on Tuesday afternoon, just as at closing, to say we had 10 days to get out. We have thousands of books. Those books are very heavy. So it has been a major effort, and so we appreciate the possibility of moving to 114 Southwest Atlantic. And the space is very adequate for what we need. And of course, I don't know if everyone knows here that we are a 501c3, part of the Literacy Council. And we serve, our goal and purpose is to serve and promote adult basic education in Coffee County. It's a Coffee County project. And we have been in existence for 32 years. And we are part of a 13-county region. And in that 13-county region, we have the most graduates of the adult education program. We're really proud of that. We worked very hard, and it was in 2008 when there was a downturn in the economy, and we used to have the big fundraisers with dinner, dancing, speakers, auctions. And when the economy did dip, we didn't think it was fair for us to ask businesses to be sponsors or to donate things for us to auction, and we would find another way. So for a few years, we moved to the fairgrounds and had a booth at the fair, thinking that many of the people who might need our services, that there are about 5,000, we think, in Coffee County who do not have a high school diploma. And that's what our adult education program does, is provide a program where students or individuals who don't have a diploma can get that. It's called a high school equivalency test. You used to know it as a GED. It is no longer a GED in Tennessee. It is now called a HiSET test, high school equivalency test. So we're so proud of the students that we have there. They work very hard. Our teachers work very hard. And so we try to promote that in any way we can. So we decided selling books, since we're about literacy and education, would be the best way we could raise the funds. And the community has been phenomenal with donating wonderful books for us. Many of you have been in and gotten books from us, and we're very pleased that we can provide that service in the community. I don't think, maybe at the University of the South they have a bookstore, but other than that, we don't know of any other bookstores per se that are in this 5-county region. And we have people from all over those counties who come. We even had someone from Texas there yesterday, because when she visits her family here, she always comes to the bookstore. So we have people far and wide who come to Tullahoma to search for books in our bookstore. I would entertain any questions that you have.
Well, certainly, in my opinion, the bookshelf is certainly an asset to the city of Tullahoma and the surrounding area. And let me say that in order to, if we can approve this one-year lease tonight, I think for the city to have the bookshelf in our downtown area is a real asset to the development of our downtown, the viability of downtown. So it's, I think it's, thank you for considering us and moving to our downtown. So anyway, we'll thank you for you. If there are no other questions from Ms. Watson.
Do you need help moving books?
Oh, sure we do. Yeah. We've boxed them all up. We've of course, we have to be out, so we've got to take them somewhere. But, of course, we don't know if this is approved yet, but we hope so. And we'll be renting a U-Haul kind of vehicle to help us get the bookshelves to the new place, wherever it might be, and then we'll do the books. They're already packed.
I'll get
Ready
with
to
you.
go.
I'll help any way I can.
We'll do what we can to help.
Yes. We'll help you move.
We'll help you. We'll do what we can.
I had somebody with a truck.
You don't mind
In a trailer, we got that trailer.
This property is a property the city acquired last year, on Wall Street, between Wall Street and Land Street, where the old Tennessee Glove factory was years ago. There's a nice parking lot there. It also accommodates some of our refuge collection facilities that are there on that property. There's entrances both from Wall Street and Atlantic Street, so it's a really good location and within walking distance of Main Street and Lincoln Street downtown, so it's a good spot for it.
So I think it's a win-win situation. And just think, if you get a one-year lease, you won't have to think about moving for a whole year.
Well, I know the lease says 30-day notice. We would entertain 45 or 60, and it wouldn't be nearly as
Being
hard.
liberal. Well, thank you, Ms. Watson. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Mayor,
Are there any other discussions about?
I do want to make one
Yes,
correction.
yes.
just and I have informed all of you through email today, but I think for the public, I just want to make sure that I clarify. I received some more information today about the property taxes, and because the city is a tax exempt entity owning the property, there would be no property taxes, and then a nonprofit operating the use of the facility, they'll have no personal property taxes. So I did misspeak in the agenda memo when I mentioned that there could be a property tax benefit. There will not be.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other comments, I'll call the question. Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Watson, you won't have to move for another year. Thank you. Okay, that's all the business to come before the,
Mr. Mayor?
if you have a question?
Yeah, and I'll be quick about it. I've reconsidered. I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Resolution 1855. I want to change my vote, but I want to do it the proper way. And that would just take a second and then on that motion, and then we can revote.
Wait, we need to do something?
Somebody just needs a second.
I'll second. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All in favor of changing the vote? You may change your vote. Got that?
So I think we just,
Well, so can we have a discussion over that?
Yeah, we did.
I'm curious. Daniel,
I thought that was gonna be the easiest thing on the agenda, but then he just got me thinking about it through his things, and any time
well, I'm
that
thinking about it
there's,
now too. so-
yeah, and any time that there's,
Paying you back.
yeah, and it's one of those, I didn't feel right doing it, and I'm not 100% sure why, and so I want to say no.
Well, I'm a little confused at I'm sorry, Miss Diane, I don't know if she's still here. But I'm a little confused as to why they are going around asking, are we the only municipality? I wish I had asked that question. Do we know if we're the only municipality they're
Well,
asking? or
wait,
they're
hold on,
asking
I just,
everybody?
like, this discussion's only about Daniel's vote, correct?
Yes,
So-
we'll make a motion to
and-
reconsider the,
And I may be wrong, can you change your vote
As a-
to a negatory vote?
so if I'm in the affirmative initially, I can
Yes.
make a motion to reconsider, and it takes a second, then we re-vote on the original item, and that's the only way to actually change a vote. It's gotta
Okay.
happen
Do we all
in
have
the
to
current
revote, or is it-
meeting, or, yeah, everybody would have to vote
We
again.
have to vote again.
But we don't have to vote the same. Now that it reopens it,
Anybody
can vote differently.
Yep.
That's why I asked for
Correct.
information.
And it's gotta happen at
Okay.
either this meeting or the meeting
So-
after. And I just wanna not, instead of getting that whole minute.
Okay. Done.
Done.
Okay,
So we need to vote Again, real
Again?
quickly on that one.
We're
We're
voting again.
voting on the original motion, on that motion.
1855, okay.
Okay.
And now the vote is 4-3 in favor. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, there is no other new business, so we'll adjourn the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, and we'll go into the beer board. You want to call the roll again?
No.
We're all here? Okay, the consent agenda is just to get approval of the minutes from the February 22nd beer board meeting. Sorry. Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to second.
Okay.
Blackwell.
That's right.
Blanks.
We
Oh, I
have
forgot
Blackwell
to-
and blanks, right?
No discussion. Call the question.
Was that a command?
No discussion.
Approved. There's no other old business. We'll go to new business. Beer board item number BB 10, to approve a beer permit application for on-premises permit for a new business at 1905 North Jackson Street, Suite 450, Sushi Thai, with owner and manager, Mr. Jerome Grew, I can't hardly see your name, subject to final fire inspection. We have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Blackwell approves, second for Barry. Any discussion? No discussion, we'll vote on the approval of the beer board. Do we have, you're here tonight, thank you for being here. Do you have any questions for us?
No.
Well, we have some questions for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Are you operating a beer license currently anywhere?
Yeah, I have a restaurant in the past, like 6 restaurants. One in Florida, and
But not in Tullahoma?
5 in Nashville.
Okay.
No, 4 in Nashville, and the last one gonna be in Tullahoma, and I'm retired.
Are you familiar with the Tullahoma Beer Board regulations? I think it'd be appropriate for you to have a copy of the beer board regulations.
Oh, she gave me some
Oh, you do?
instruction, something.
Okay.
Yeah, from city.
Tell us how will you how can you assure this board that you will never sell beer to a minor?
Yeah, we have to train all employee. So whoever that serve the beer can be 18 and older, and who gonna drink the alcohol or beer or wine gonna be 21 and older. I think most is common everywhere anyway.
Will you be the person that's monitoring the sale of beer?
Yes, sir. And
No one else in the business will be doing that?
I have like my
How
son.
many hours a day are you open?
We open 6 days a week, and we open from 11 to 2:30 and 4 to 9 o'clock.
And you're open, and you're there all the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Golden, have all the documents been approved?
Yes, and we are, Blackwell and Barry, your motion was subject to them passing the final fire inspection?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the motion.
He's waiting for some equipment to come in and be installed before the fire department can actually go in and inspect, so that's kind of what the delay's been.
Okay, motion is to approve the beer license subject to the fire approval. If there's no further questions, we'll call a question.
I have a question. Where is this located?
On 1905 North Jackson Street,
The old
next,
ramen.
next to the Kroger.
I think, is it the old ramen place?
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
behind the
Shibo Ramen.
Red Lobster.
Okay,
Okay.
Sad.
When do you anticipate opening?
Yes.
When do you
When?
anticipate opening?
In 2 weeks.
I'm
After
excited.
the
Yes.
inspection, we code
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Thai sushi bar.
Yes. Thai and sushi? Yes, it is.
Yeah, sushi bar.
And do you have a menu with that?
If there's no further questions, no further comments, we'll call the question.
Me too. Oh, my God.
Beer license is approved, 7-0. Welcome to Tullahoma. Thank you for opening your business
Thank you,
here.
sir.
Thank
We're
you for
gonna
all you do.
retire here. That
Thank you
I
very much. If there's no further business, the beer board will be adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.